Well, Razorback fans, a big old nothing burger happened in the transfer portal for Razorback basketball over the weekend, and I'm going to tell you why, or at least attempt to, here on today's Locked On Razorbacks podcast.
You are Locked On Razorbacks, your daily podcast on the Arkansas Razorbacks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And welcome into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I am your host, John Nabors. I am also the host of Inside Arkansas Live, which you can catch every weekday afternoon starting at noon on Inside Arkansas and InsideArkansas.com. Today's episode is brought to you by TurboTax. Ready for stress-free taxes and the most money back guaranteed? Head over to TurboTax.com today and get matched with your expert. Hope everybody had a wonderful weekend, as it was a pretty slow one, but had some positives, especially with Razorback baseball, which we'll talk about. And also a comment that Sam Pittman made yesterday, or I should say last week, for the spring practices and whatnot, dealing with the GM and Remy Cofield, that I want to bring up and I want to discuss. But we'll get to that here in just a second. But I know what everybody's been interested in the most. I know what everybody's been thinking about. It's the transfer portal and exactly what's going on with it in the basketball side of things. Every single day, every single time that it goes on, and there's more and more questions begin to get asked of, all right, so what's next? What's going to happen here soon? Is there going to be some sort of pop? Is there going to be some sort of big thing going on that we can finally get a little bit of an idea of who's coming to play for Arkansas and what their roster is going to look like as far as players coming back and everything? And a lot of us felt like maybe the weekend is when it was going to go down, because nothing happened all week. Well, the weekend has come and gone and nothing has happened. I mean, you've had Big Z announce he's transferring out. You've had a couple of players that really didn't play any sort of significant minutes this past season announce that they are transferring out. Nothing surprising there. But that's it. That's legitimately it. And all of us just have to sit back and wonder, okay, are we the ones that are being impatient? Are we the ones that are being a little over the top or nonsensical when it comes to our approach? Are we making too much of a big deal out of this? Are we getting impatient? Why is it happening this way? Because we know that there's been players that they've been interested in. We know there's been players that they have talked to and that they have done Zooms with. And by basing it off of that, there's been interest there. The ones that maybe they talk to for NIL, maybe there's ones that they talk to for looking what the roster is going to adapt to, whatever it may be. We know that there's been interest. We know that there's been some things going on behind the scenes, but what we don't know is who is going to be on this team next year at all. Now, I'm not saying that we have to know right now. I'm not saying we demand it or we deserve it. I'm not saying any of those things. But when this whole thing came to an end, and I'm talking about the basketball season, and the transfer portal opened up, I mean, if you really think about it, from a little over a week ago is when the season came to an end. I would not have guessed that a week later, after the fact, that we'd be sitting here and really having no more indication of who's going to be on the team next season. I mean, it's wild. It's wild. And I've kept trying to, base a lot of the stuff that what's been going on what we've been hearing. I know Curtis has been doing a lot of great things with it with Inside Arkansas on trying to keep everybody updated on that. And we've seen some other teams in the country be able to add some players out of the transfer portal and all those things. But Arkansas still sits where it's at. We haven't heard a peep out of Cal. We haven't heard a peep out of the coaching staff. And that's pretty much it. So I say all of that just to kind of give everybody an update on it and they're trying to correct some vibes that some of you may or may not have as to why it's this way. Why is it going on? Why is it having to be this way? And to tell you the truth, I'm not going to sit here and try to convince all of you that everything is just perfectly fine, hunky-dory, and it's going to be the best roster that's ever happened. Because I don't know. But I'm also not going to sit here and say that there's just trouble afoot and there's these major issues going on and this staff doesn't know what they're doing and Cal's lost it. They're all over the place. I'm not going to say that either. But what I do look at is I look at trends. I look at understandings. I look at what could be John Calipari and the Razorback basketball program's approach to this. Because for those of you who've listened to my podcast a long time, you all know that I like to take things and connect dots. If there's stuff that we don't know and we would like to know, or at least it would make a lot of sense for us to know, but we never will, we do got to take only the things that we know and then try to make some sort of rational, logical theory or argument as to what it is. So right now, Arkansas is in the position where it's kind of up in the air. Don't really know exactly what's going on in the roster, but we do know that they're contacting people, and we do know they have NIL. We do know that John Calipari is a phenomenal, recruiter. We do know that they will not have Big Z, and we do know that there are many other players that are currently on the roster that still have the opportunity to come play at Arkansas if they would so choose. So looking at all these things together, I think it has to be a few things that could be why it's taking so long or why the progression's going the way it is. I think it could be simply that, Cal is being methodical in everything and wanting to see exactly what the entire landscape looks like from the transfer portal. There's still games to be played. I don't want to say games, one game. Which would be tonight, the national championship. Florida and Houston. I don't know if all of you heard about it. It was what we all predicted before the season started. I was going to be Houston and Florida in the national championship. But there could be an element to say, all right, let's wait until that's over with. Wait till the season comes to an end, and let's look at all what we got. Let's look at all the cards on the table. Let's see all the players that are available, all the players that are interested, all the players that could end up being a Razorback or be interested in coming to be a Razorback. Let's not all put our chips in one basket at the very beginning and go all crazy with just a few players. Let's see what the entire landscape looks like. I think there could be an element to that. But I also think there's an element of making this roster come together methodically because of Nate Ament. Now, some of you, of course, if you don't know, he's the highest rated recruit that is uncommitted to a school. And Arkansas had him on a visit towards the end of the regular season. He's 6'9", a great forward, a really a game-changing type of player, to which if Arkansas was able to get him, that would give them 3 5-stars, 3 McDonald's All-Americans, 3 really phenomenal players. And some of you are thinking, well, why wouldn't I don't like the fact that you're going all in on a 5-star freshman. We need transfer portal players. We need those guys, which I agree with wholeheartedly. But we do know that the roster matters to Nate Ament, and it matters to these freshmen, and it matters to transfer portal kids. Like you got to be able to have a foundation. You got to be able to have a group of individuals that you can count on to be on this roster next year, to be able to pitch that in a way towards these players. And I'm talking about Nate Ament. I'm talking about players that are currently on the roster, any of the transfer portal people. They want to know who they're playing with next year. And if they know that they're not playing with the best of the best, or at least players that they feel like will fit their role and fit their roster, then they're not going to be interested in coming to you. That's just the way it is. You can hate that, but there is something to be said about these high-level, high-caliber, talented athletes wanting to play together. And if Arkansas is in a situation where they don't really have anything set in stone, or there's still some doubt, maybe there's still some questions, then it's going to be hard to convince, well, just come on in. Don't worry. We'll make sure we put it together when you commit. I think Cal he's always been about those 5-star freshmen. And I think he understands that it has to be more than that, but he still has a preference for those. So I think they're going all in on Nate Ament. I think they're going all in on him. I think that they're trying to do whatever they can to get him, but they're also having to build it up and put it together at the right time and be able to showcase it, whether it's to Nate Ament, whether it's to the transfers, whatever it is. I think we're going to see it come together, hopefully here this week, hopefully. And I also think it's a floodgate deal. I think it's when, as soon as you get 1 or 2 of the players to announce, whether it's Brazil and Knox that they're coming back, or some other big-time transfers that announce Arkansas is the place, or even if it's Nate Ament, whatever ends up coming first, you're going to see it all happen pretty quickly, which is great, which is what we want, because we want the team to be put together instead of just worrying about everything else that's going along with it, or at least all the problems that's going along with it. So That's the biggest key right now, is just to handle that, to get that, to put it all together. And it just takes time and it takes energy. And I still think the ruling today may have a little bit of an issue. And I don't think it's going to get approved as far as the revenue sharing today, but it could. So there's just a lot of unknowns and uncertainties. And I know it's getting frustrating to everybody because they want to know what's going on right now. And I do too. I get tired of it, but I also go back to the whole thing. I trust in Cal. And until the roster is a problem, then it's not going to matter to me. Like, you just make sure that you're doing the right things in the right way, and the rest of it will come into play. Trust in Cal is essentially what I'm saying. Just trust in John Calipari. Never led you wrong. I don't think he's going to start now. But we'll talk a little Razorback baseball. Man, they're fun. We'll get to that here on the other in a second. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, I'm here to tell you about our sponsor, Intuit TurboTax. Taxes was waiting and wondering and worrying if you were ever going to get any money back, then waiting and wondering and worrying some more. But now Taxes is matching with a TurboTax expert who can do your taxes as soon as today. An expert who gives your taxes their undivided attention as they work on your return, while you get real-time updates on their progress so you can focus on your day. An expert who will find every deduction possible for you, fill out every form, every investment, everything with 100% accuracy. All so you can get the most money back guaranteed. No waiting, no wondering, no worries. Now this is Taxes. So get an expert on right now at TurboTax.com. Only available with TurboTax Live full service. Real-time updates only available in the iOS app. See the guarantee details at TurboTax.com/guarantees. All right, so moving on into the next segment of the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. How about the Razorback baseball team? Another sweep in what was a weird series against Missouri, because you had to basically do some things when it came to was it 3 games in 24 hours, essentially. The weather was not great. Definitely tough to try to fit in 3 games given all the circumstances of Razorback baseball and where they're at. But shout out to Dave, shout out to everybody involved. They got it done. They got the games in, and Arkansas swept. They swept them. And Arkansas, they got a decent record, I'd say. They're 30-3. They're 30-3. 11-1 in SEC play. 11-1 in SEC play. It's hard not to get excited about it, you know? It's hard not to think too much of it, but right now Arkansas and Texas are tied for first in the SEC. LSU is second at 10-2, and then Tennessee's at 9-3. So, yeah. You got it going on. Now, you got a tough schedule in front of you. In fact, you got to play Texas. You got to play LSU. You got to play Tennessee, and you got to play Georgia. Those 4 teams are the 4 teams that are right below you. So you're going to have your work cut out for you. You also have Texas A&M, who's 3-9, which actually they won the series against Tennessee, ironically enough. And then you have Florida, who's 1-11 this year. Does not make sense. But still, you're in a great shape. But what you did this past weekend was insane. Missouri sucks, plain and simple. They're 0-12, and there's a reason why. They're not any good. You beat them in 3 games. 3 7-inning games, mind you, because the doubleheader on Sunday was 7-inning games each, and then you run-ruled them in the first game on Saturday night. You scored 51 runs. 51 runs in essentially 21 innings. All right, it's not even 21 innings, I guess, technically, because you didn't get the bat in the bottom of the 7th in the other one. So, whatever that is, less than 21 innings, 51 runs. Missouri scored 9. I mean, it's just outrageous. It's outrageous. And again, I know Missouri sucks. I really do. But I don't care who you're playing. I don't care who it is. If it's Missouri, Missouri State, Southeast Missouri, does not matter. What you did to Missouri was just You did exactly what the best team in the country would do against a team like Missouri. I guess 18 innings was what they batted. I mean, that's crazy. And the fact that it was the most, I think the game you won 21-3, which was game 1 on Saturday. That game, you scored more runs against an SEC opponent ever in Van Horn's tenure. And it was also the most runs scored by a Van Horn team in an SEC series. I mean, it's hard not to get excited, folks. Cam Kozeal is that dude. That dude is on fire. That dude just had a weekend of him. And he just so happened to go out there and he's hitting 417 on the season. No biggie. He's hitting 417 on the season. Charles Davalan is hitting 400. Your leadoff guy, which I can't remember a time where Arkansas had a better leadoff batter than what Charles Davalan's doing for him right now. He also got 11 home runs. Charles Davalan's leading the team. Your leadoff hitter's leading the team in home runs with 11. Logan Maxwell's killing it too. He's hitting 386. Kozeal Aloy, 375. Vahiva Aloy is right under him at 372 with 10 home runs. Brent Iredale, 340, 10 home runs. So you got three players already with double-digit home runs. Your worst batter right now is Nolan Souza in the lineup, at least. And Souza is batting 231. If you take away his first 3 weekends, which I know you can't, but if you take away his first 3 weekends, he's probably batting well over 100. I mean, he started off so tough and so rough in the beginning. He's really turned it on here as of late. Justin Thomas, he had a tough doubleheader yesterday, but he came into that game batting 300. He's batting 280. That's your 9-hole hitter. Batting 280. Last year, folks, one of your best hitters, like one of your top 4 or 5 hitters was batting 280. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible to see what this team is doing right now. Last year, Vahiva Aloy led your team in RBIs with like 52 on the season. Brent Iredale's got 45. Hio Aloy's got 43. I just look at these numbers, and it's incredible. Zach Root had another great outing. Gabe Gackle, it's still like Gabe just has, I don't fully blame him for what happened on Sunday in game 1. But he's starting to settle in a little bit better. Beidelshees is doing some good things too. Aiden Jimenez coming out of the bullpen's been solid. You got plenty of guys, plenty of run. You also got some guys that are trying to, find a way. Like Carson Bowles is a kid that just is great too. Hit a grand slam over the weekend. Like Rocco Pepe is a guy I completely forgot about. He was playing a lot before. And he's not so much anymore. Like I say all of that not just to throw out stats, but just to really reiterate the fact that this Razorback baseball team is great. And all of you are going to be like, big deal, wait till postseason. That's great. I don't want to be number 1. I don't want to worry about it. No. Just wait. Postseason. Yes, completely agree. Postseason is what matters. 1,000%. But folks, you still got to enjoy the process. You can only play the teams in front of you. You can only take care of business against the teams in front of you. And Arkansas is 30-3. Like those of you who are just like, because I'm going to tell you right now, Arkansas is going to be the number 1 team in the country today. It's going to come out today. They're going to be number 1 because Tennessee lost. And some of you are going to be like, oh, I don't want the number 1. I don't want to be number 1. Well, would you have rather them lost the series to Missouri? Because I wouldn't. It's okay to enjoy the games and to root for the team and want them to win every game. It's also okay for Arkansas to win 30 games in their first 33 games. It's okay for that to happen. They got a tough schedule in front of them. We'll see what happens. But just don't get all bent out of shape or freaking out because this team is looking so good right now. It matters in the postseason, but we got to get there first. We got to wait till we get there first. And when we get there, then we can start having those discussions. Then we can start talking about it. But this team is loaded. They're stupid good, and it makes me extremely happy. I can't wait to see what the rest of the season holds. Enjoy the ride, folks. We got some tough ones in front of them, but it's going to be really fun. All right, I want to bring up something that Sam Pittman said last week about Remy Cofield, the new GM, here in a second. So stay with us here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. All right, Razorback fans, you ever wonder when you check your bank account, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out and online shopping, entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over all your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center where you can track all of your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So you just stop managing your money and start building your wealth. Instead of juggling all these multiple apps that try to help you out with all these things, you can use Monarch to check all your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Managing money with your partner has never been smoother. And also, you can track all the shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com. Use code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for half off your very first year. All right, so final segment here on the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. I want to bring up something that Sam Pittman said. I'm going to play this clip. It's a little bit lengthy, but I think it's worth it. When Remy Cofield, the new GM, general manager for Arkansas, kind of wondering what role he's going to play in when it comes to football, because he's a basketball guy and the basketball side of things. This happened about midweek last week, so we haven't had a chance to talk about it since. But I want to play this clip. Here's what Sam Pittman had to say and what the role will be and what they expect out of Remy in his first year with the football program.
Sorry, just one more on Cofield. I guess you talked a lot about how he can help bringing in new players and helping you navigate the portal. I'm just wondering how you envision his relationship with retention and, helping with players that are already here.
I think it has a lot to do. Guys, a lot of times if you're married, you need a little buffer. You go talk to your son and say, hey, go to mom and see what this idea would be. I think you need a buffer. And to me, he's that guy, because since we've been here, I kind of been the good guy and the bad guy. Good if you come in and you want X amount of money, and all that, and we feel like that's the worth and all that. That's going to be, they're going to go to him. And so I think that buffering system is going to help me tremendously. And then it's personal, guys are going to leave. You understand why, but then it becomes personal. We need to take that part out of the game to me. I'm all for these guys making money, all for it. But there are some that leave that it hurts you, so I think having him, I think that will help us, and he can be a buffering. And if you go in and you tell him you want $400,000, and I was planning on giving you $4, then there's a buffer in there where we can kind of figure out between the two of us, along with the coaches, what kind of money that we have in the budget.
I guess, has that been emotionally draining for you, that, you have to, on the field, kind of try and extract the most out of them, and then have to, have those bad guy conversations with them, off the field?
Yeah, I never really, to be honest with you, I've never really thought, until I see it, I've never really thought, well, he's going to go in the portal, on the field, coaching them and all that, until he doesn't quit, but he kind of quits, you know what I mean? You can tell. We're going to coach them. You guys, I hope, haven't seen any difference in coaching than what we had before, and our job is to get them the best they possibly can be for them, and then that'll make the team better. But when money comes into probably any situation, it's hard for greed and jealousy and all that not to come in. So balancing that, I think that will help us a little bit, having Remy help us balance some of that as well.
All right, so that was Sam Pittman talking about. Now, here's the deal. Like there's some things that I took from that I kind of already knew and maybe I didn't care for or whatever. But I also don't think it's completely fair to just go all in on Sam Pittman and just go at him and tell him how awful he is and all that. I'm actually going to defend Sam Pittman a little bit on this because some of you have talked about, well, he's just still seems out of sorts, doesn't seem to care, doesn't seem to have any idea what's going on. I will say that as a head coach, I don't care what anybody says. I think Pittman is dead on this, and I think that most coaches feel the same way, where they don't want to have to deal with this. They don't have to deal with negotiations. They don't want to have to deal with players and money and who gets what and who does what, and they just want to coach football. A lot of them do. Now, some of them want to be involved with the NIL, and I think a lot of them still need to be. Like, I think Sam Pittman needs to be involved with it, needs to know exactly what these players are making and how much they're getting and all of that because it's his program. Not that he's being nosy, it's his program. He needs to have a pulse on everything. But I also think that when it takes so much away from some of the stuff that actually matters in the end, the stuff that'll make a difference, the stuff that'll help you win games, that it can be distracting and it can be problematic. And that depends on which coach it is. Some coaches can handle it, some coaches can't. And if Pittman's not one of those coaches that can, that's fine. That's why you have somebody like Remy Cofield come in. That's why you have somebody take over that role and handle it. So again, I don't have a problem with it. I understand what he's saying. I still think that there's a lot of uncertainty about it and questions about it that I want to see in practice and in execution before I really start celebrating that it's all going well. But just something that really stood out. That's the only thing that's really stood out about spring practice, but I'm sure there'll be some more updates and everything going on as time goes on. So either way, appreciate each and every one of you listening in and watching into the Locked On Razorbacks podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or on Google Play. You can also get after me on Twitter at John Nabors Show for any questions, comments, concerns that you may have. We'll keep it going from there. Same podcast time, same podcast channel tomorrow afternoon. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. See you then.